Hello, I'm Dr. Yalın Kılıç from Biomedical Engineering. So we will talk a little bit about the engineering ethics and plagiarism in the context of the FENG 497 course. Maybe you already know about this very famous trolley problem. There is a trolley moving down the rails and it has no brakes and it will obviously kill 5 people in the rail. On the other hand, you have a lever, and if you push the lever right now, you can be able to change the way the trolley moves and take it to another rail. But in this rail, there is another person, and you will obviously kill this person. But for sure, the other 5 people will get saved. And will you do this? It's a very hard question in the ethical perspective, because some of the people will say that I will never interfere with this, or I will never decide on who will die or who will live. But many of the people will say that for sure I will push the lever, because one person can be sacrificed in order to save 5. Philippa Foot, a woman which had been born in 1920, is the original inventor of this trolley problem. Then this trolley problem got modified by other researchers like, will you push a fat man in front of a trolley which is moving down the rails to kill 5 men? So in this case, you don't have a lever, and there is another man sitting on a bridge over the rails, and if you push this man, these 5 people will get saved. But if you do not, of course the trolley will go over the 5 and they will die. In this position, even it may be more harder for you to decide, because you are pushing this man with your own hands and you are encountering the scene of him dying just in front of you. But on the other hand, still one person is getting killed and 5 persons are being saved. And what is already changed in this? So technically thinking about takes us to the very same point: saving 5, losing 1. Maybe pushing the man with your bare hands gets the things complicated. Okay, then if I will ask you, you still have a lever, but this lever do not change the rails, but this lever open a door just under the fat man, and you don't even have to look at this fat man. So you will just push the lever, the fat man will be dropped from the bridge on the way of the trolley, and 5 people will get killed. So these all modifications were made by Judith Jarvis Thompson, and they got very famous in this trolley problem. But whatever you decide, either to push the lever or not, maybe in such a case that you will decide even harder. In this case, there is a 3 option lever. So A will kill. If you do not push the lever, the trolley will go down to rail A and will kill 8 people. If you push the B, it will kill 1 people. If you don't want to be a murderer, just push the lever to C and it will turn and kill yourself. Failed indecision? Obviously, yes. Okay, more or less, there may be people who were saying that I will decide to move the lever to the position B, or I will for sure save 5 lives if it was to kill 1 person. I'm asking especially to these people who will decide to kill 5 instead of 1. So maybe the other trolley problem was a little imaginary, but think about the doctor in an emergency room who's trying to save 5 lives. 5 very severely injured person, which came to the emergency room at the same time. They came from a car accident at the time that the doctor was in an operation to save 1 life. So now, will the doctor quit the liver surgery that he's doing, and there is no way to save the patient in the operation room? He knows this. But on the other hand, he knows one more thing. If he doesn't leave the the operation room to go to the emergency room right now, all the 5 people in the emergency will be dead. So this is even a harder decision for the doctor. If there are people among you who will say that, I will for sure leave the operation room because I will sacrifice this patient and I will save 5 lives. Then I will ask him another question. What about this doctor? He is just doing a regular checkup on a very healthy patient and knows that there are 5 patients waiting for organ transplant. 1 for liver, 1 for kidney, 1 for heart, and so on. So, what do you recommend this doctor? Will this doctor take the completely healthy patient to the operating room, remove the kidneys, remove the heart, remove what is necessary for this 5 person, and save 5 lives, but lose 1? So, what takes us to here are the conflict of our ethical thinking. If you look into them more scientifically, we will see that these ethical theories can be classified under 4 titles. So the first one is the Utilitarianism, the second one is the duty ethics, and the others are the right ethics and virtue ethics, which you will hear a lot. So the utility ethics, utilitarianism, is that the morality of the action is determined only through the assessment of its results. You can say that you can simulate if this potential action will form more happiness or will it form more suffering. So the philosophers say that let's think about the happiness units, which is called hedons, and think about the suffering units called dollars. We just put them on a scale, and if it will form more happiness, we will decide like this. But you have to keep in mind that it is not always possible for you to determine other people's happiness level. One action that you may think about it as forming a lot of happiness, but this may not be the case for everybody. And also, there are also cases that it will form more happiness by only going into one scale, but it will form more suffering if you look into the case on another scale. So these will be where your ethics will conflict. Duty ethics is that when you decide if an action is moral or not, only for the sake of duty. So this duty could be given to you by your boss, could be given to you by the universe, by God, or by humanity, whatever you call it. But what you believe is that doing this is your duty. There is another topic that's called right ethics. In this, the morality of an action is determined by the right, or permission to act, or as a rights holder. So, in this case, you decide on the action if it is your right, or if it conflicts with your rights, or if it is somebody else's right or conflicts with other people's right. Virtue ethics, we can maybe classify this in another class, because the morality of this is not related to an action but to a virtue. Aristotle is the inventor of this kind of thinking, and it is mostly known as the highest class philosopher. So Aristotle's ethics are for the ruling class mostly. And Aristotle suggests that virtue is an habit of the soul involving both feelings and action, to seek the mean in all things relative to us. Aristotle says that if you can do it as a human, as a ruler, as an emperor, as a hero. There are many cases that are ethics conflict. For example, this beautiful woman of Maldives is wearing a burqa to swim. It's very hot in Maldives, and he wants to get a little chill. But the god said that, the Maldives is an Islamic country, and the god said her to close her skin, to close her face and her hands and every place, from everybody. So, if this woman wants to decide by her duty ethics, she doesn't have to enter this water. But because the God wants her not to enter the water, but the God wants her to get covered. But thinking about her bare utility is very hot, and she has to get her body temperature down, and it's the only way to go into the sea. Not only the different kind of ethics conflict with each other. For example, in here, duty ethics can also conflict with duty. These soldiers are asked to kill an enemy in the warfield because they are soldiers and it's their duty to protect the land. But on the other case, this man is unharmed, and they believe by their religion killing an unarmed man is not permitted. So, on one hand, they have the duty given by them, by their commander, and on the other hand, they have the duty given to them by the God. And so, this is another ethical dilemma which conflict happens. So, you don't have to be in a war field to feel these ethical conflicts. Thinking about the duty versus the right, think about a scenario that you are working in a company and the boss wants you to take out the garbage every night when you're leaving. First, you didn't say a lot, but then it started to annoy you because you're an engineer and you signed the contract of work to do the engineering work, not take out the garbage. And you believe that it's your right to protect your health. But on the other hand, the boss will feel like you're not doing your duty and you still get a conflict to speak with the boss or not about this. You know this famous scene from Batman and Joker when the Batman caught Joker. The Joker is unarmed and Batman could kill him easily. And should Batman kill the Joker? Thinking about the utility way, killing Joker is beneficial for everybody. He's a bad guy, he's guilty, he's a criminal. So killing him will save thousands of people from him. So it's beneficial for everybody. Joker has to be died. On the other hand, God says that do not kill. So killing the Joker when he's unarmed, even though it will save thousands of people, will not be an option if you are thinking about it on the duty way. But the Batman saving him life and putting him in the jail instead is not out of the Batman's duty ethics, that the Batman believes in God and that the God asked him not to kill. On the other hand, Batman is a man of virtue, and Batman is thinking that I have to be an example to all the people in the city, and what kind of a superhero will I be if I kill an unarmed person? So, passing to the professional responsibility, there are a few things you will encounter a lot in your professional life, which you will have some ethical dilemmas. Your professional responsibility is protection of public safety, technical competence, and timely communication of negative and positive results to management. Think that you are the quality control of an ambulance, and can you imagine that your signature will be so important for the public safety? All the list of equipment in the ambulance have to work, and if you just sign for a quality control of an ambulance that is not working properly, it may be more, it may bring more results than you think. So, talking about the technical competence, it says that you have to be technically competent in a job that is asked from you. In this photo, you can see a very handsome young man who is asked to help the Prime Minister in his work. But obviously, he's not very talented in directing a country. But instead, he accepted this because it would be a great leap for this young person. This is something that you don't have to do. If you cannot do it, do not try to do it. There is another thing that if you are working under a boss, it will be asked from you to timely communicate the negative and positive results to the management. So it means that if something goes wrong, you have to go and report it to the management. Do not hide it. But it also says that if something goes right, still go and report it to the management. Do not hide it. Maybe you can think that why would I hide a positive result from management? This happens. Think about that. You're a scientist or an engineer working on an earthquake monitoring facility, and you're monitoring the earthquakes and see that the interval is decreasing and the probability of an earthquake is increasing. So you went to the municipality or the state and tried to tell them that there will be an earthquake soon, possibly. At first, they didn't want to take action, but when you insisted, they said that okay, we will move every people out of the city, and we will cancel the school for the next week. But on the next day, after the decision was happened and broadcasted to all city, you have seen that the interval started to get longer again, and the possibility of the earthquake went down. Now, this is a positive result, but you may hide it because it's your reputation to the state. And maybe you can think that, okay, let's wait for a few more days and maybe the earthquake happen. If it doesn't happen, anyways, I didn't say that the earthquake will happen for sure, but the probability was high. But the right thing would be that you would go speak to the state again and said that, okay, you decided to cancel the schools and broadcasted this from the radio. But now the things have been changed. I'm sorry, I misguided you, but there is no need for an evacuation. Some ethical dilemmas happen when you encounter with public safety and public welfare, about data integrity, trade secrets, bribery, informed consent, conflict of interest, your accountability to your clients and customers, and fair treatment. A simple example may be that you may be working in a construction company, and then they have made a huge plan for a bridge which you are controlling the calculations and the designs, and you've seen that the bridge in fact cannot withstand that much load. Let's say that the bridge would have to withstand the load of 10 tons per square meter with the tolerances of up to 12 tons, but in your calculations you have found 11.8 tons. So now you can simply say that anyways this bridge will work under 10 tons, and if it was resulted 12 tons I would say pass, and if it's only for 2 kilograms now they have to change all the design and the construction have already started. What will you do in this case? Another subject that I want to guide you is about this data integrity and representation. Think about that you are representing a sales monthly trend of a company, and which it was not very well 5 months ago in November, and you just quickly build up, and in the March you really increase the sales a lot. But there is one problem that last month it went down to more than 200%. So, but there's a meeting in the following days and you're planning to sell an important part of your shares to an investor. Why not to show this last month? You see? Simply hiding the last month, we are in good profit again. As you see, you didn't falsify the data. You didn't do anything to it. This is just misrepresentation. So misrepresentation may take in the form of fabrication. It's inventing the data. It's like out of nothing. You're just sitting on the corner and saying that, okay, it's like, let's say 50 for the November sales and 70 for the October sale, like this. Okay, it's increasing. Falsification is, you've seen that 50 for November, 100 for December, then 150 for January, 90 for February. Okay, I didn't like this February. Let's say it's not 90 but 190. This is falsification. But what I've just seen, what I have just shown you in the graph, is also a falsification. Even though you didn't manipulate any results, you hide some of them. Or plagiarism. This is, even though this is a very small subject in the whole ethics. So in this class, it is especially gone especially over it because plagiarism is mostly seen in the academic world, like between students, between academicians, or even I, when I'm preparing this lesson, just googled some images and cut the image out of the computer screen and inserted this into my presentation. If I was not to put references or disclose that I found these images from Google searches of other websites, then it would be plagiarism. So not the plagiarism is only when you just search for a homework online and just change the name or put your name on it and give it to the lecturer as if it's your own homework. So trade secret and industrial espionage is also one thing that you have to be aware of. So it's simply that you're working in the Coca-Cola company, know the original taste recipe, and then leave the company to go work for the Pepsi Cola and disclose the recipe to them. So this is called industrial espionage. But it doesn't have to be also like this. Think about you working in a company which are selling engineering products, and you have a list of all the customers plus all the suppliers. And one day a customer wanted to order a $5 million of engineering tools for their company. And it's not your company's own product, but you are redistributing them. You just came with an idea that why don't I just quit now, open another company, I know the supplier, I know the customer, I will get this $5 million job, and instead of me getting only a few thousands of dollars of premium, now I'll get like 20% of the profit. So this is also another way of breaking the trade secret. So bribery, you know that everybody says that you cannot bribe. But where does the bribe starts and where does the gift giving ends? For example, this woman working for a company as your supplier have regular visits to your company, speak with the boss, and as a purchasing manager, she also visits you. And every time she is very nice to you, gives small gifts to you, brings small presents, and comes with a nice smile every time. And one day, when you get the quotes from different companies, you've seen that the company of this beautiful girl gave a quote just about 8 to 10% over the lowest company. Now what will you do? Will you just think that, okay, 8%, 9%, 10%, these are not important numbers, why don't I give the job to this beautiful girl? Or will you think that so her quote is simply higher than the lowest one, so I will give the job to the lowest cost, and save my company's profit. What about the informed consent? So there is a very famous cartoon called South Park. Maybe you know the episode about the iPad. If you didn't, just watch it. So taking an informed consent from someone, does it really give you the right to act as whatever you do? So apart from the South Park, I put just two examples of plant-based dietary supplements. So these say that as a legal disclaimer on bold letters. So these are not medicines, and the statements have not been evaluated by the FAD. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, and prevent any disease. So, as you see in the first one, it says Eurofit, kidney and bladder. It says that this saves your kidney, it saves your bladder, and prevents urinary tract infections. The other one says that stone breaker, so it's good for your kidney stones. But on the other hand, as a legal disclaimer, it says that this product is not intended to treat any disease. And if you buy this, so there's a small checkbox online and says that I agree to the terms and I know that this is not a drug and this product is not intended to treat my kidney stones, but you still buy them. And because of the customer signed an informed consent, so will you be comfortable in selling these products? I think speaking about the conflict of interest is that, see, this handsome doctor just prescribed the medicine to the patient and says simply that, try this, I just bought 100 shares of this company. So the conflict of interest of the doctor in here is that between really treating the patient or making the company that he bought the shares more profitable. Accountability to clients and customers. I want to give an example in this Folkart building. If you are working in a sales team or as a civil engineer in the Folkart, which you are presenting the units to public, so your customers would ask you that, so what is this surface area of the unit that I will buy? Because it is advertised as 200 square meters, you may simply say that this is 200 square meters, sir. But on the other hand, you know that these 200 square meters includes the auto park, the commercial places, the garden, and everything. And the net usable area is only like 120 square meters. But when the customer came to you and thinking that he would buy a 200 square meter flat, making him learn that this is only 120 square meters, so he will get frustrated and he will not buy for sure, so you will not get your premium. Really do this. And as a last thing, I want to talk about the fair treatment. So people may talk about equality, but people may have their disabilities. So will you really suggest equality or will you suggest equity? You may encounter them, this, like, for example, you may have a handicapped person or a fat person or a not beautiful person in your office. will you still ask, for example, there is a line of cleaning the office room or office tables. Everybody one day in a week cleans the tables. So will you say that everybody is equal and this handicapped person has to clean the tables one day in a week? Or so there's a ladder and you have to climb the top shelf to get one thing from the top shelf, and there is an obese person in working together that you are working together, and will you ask him to climb the ladder and say that bring this box from the very top shelf to down, because that you just brought the other one yesterday yourself, but it was very easy for you to climb and it would be very hard for him to do. So where will be your threshold when your ethics is questioned? So when you start to encounter many things one after the other that you cannot withstand, will you leave the company or will you leave the field? You will say that I will not work for an engineer anymore. Or you will fight for an internal change in the company or in the country, or you will just minimize interaction with the offending party, get silent and put on your headphones and try to work. So it's up to you to decide your own threshold, but it's recommended that you know your threshold before you start working full time. Thank you very much for your listening. Have a nice rest of your day.